Dan Lola is combating the St. Louis River. He's using water pumps and his own drainage system to help save his home.
We started sleeping right over the floor right above the sump pump so that we can hear when it, shuts off and kicks on.
Dan's taken a few days off work so he can fight the river.
It's pretty much surrounded now. I mean, we lost our road here about 2 days ago, 2.5 days ago, something like that. So we've got one little point of land that we can get out to the main highway here that we can walk on, but it's pretty much got us surrounded.
But with battle plans in hand, he's able to go into town. You see, he's moved his truck so it's out by the main highway where so far the river has left it untouched. Normally, the Floodwood River flows right into here, the St. Louis River. But now with the St. Louis River backed up, the Floodwood River has nowhere to go but into the neighborhoods. So local residents and volunteers are pitching in to try and stop the river from washing into any more homes.
People are giving, these are volunteers, and it's cold out here, and that's manual labor they'll be doing. So that's not fun for anybody.
In Floodwood, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
Molly Kerwin almost didn't make it to the elite Lee Jeans model search Friday night. The 8th grader decided at the last minute to enter the contest and showed up a half hour late.
On Friday, I was over at play practice because I'm in a play right now, and my parents heard about this on the news, Channel 6 News, and they just said, what the heck, we'll just give it a try.
Even though she recently had a portfolio made up, Molly has had no real modeling experience except for a few television spots. She says she was scared at the contest, competing with about 40 girls, some up to 18 years old, with professional experience.
Yeah, I was really intimidated at first, but once I got through callbacks, I was just kind of rolling with it and just kind of thinking that just seeing what will happen, I wasn't really worrying about it.
Now the soon-to-be 14-year-old is headed to the Mall of America for a statewide competition. She says she's terrified, but is looking forward to it. Molly's keeping a level head about the newfound fame and offers a bit of advice to those thinking about modeling as a career.
I say just get your picture taken maybe professionally, and then just listen for these things at the mall, and any little model thing can really lead to something big, I guess.
In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News. And only one person's chosen?
Yeah. Maybe.
So far this morning?
Wet. But it's not bad. My basement's still staying dry. I got 2 pumps down there. I'm just kind of sandbagging the windows so it's not running in through the windows.
And when did you start preparing for it? I mean, did you know that it was going to be like this?
No, it hasn't. Since I've lived here, it's never been this high. So.
And did you start preparing for it, or did it all of a sudden come all of a sudden and you were just caught off guard?
Well, yesterday afternoon we were kind of watching it, and it came up over our alley. So we thought, well, we'll have to do something. But then it came and went down. So I thought it ain't going to be no big deal, but then last night it came way up, so we started last night. I've been at this since about 9:30 last night.
Students at Lincoln Park School have taken on a very ambitious project, redesigning the city of Duluth. No bricks or steel girders needed here, just cardboard and creativity.
Each classroom spent time brainstorming in their classroom what buildings come under the category of public space, commercial space, industrial space, and then we listed them, and then they chose the things that they were familiar with and things that interested them.
The city was reviewed by 3 local architects, and students found out why some of their plans might have to change.
It's pretty good, but I don't like where the industrial thing is.
Why not?
Because it's close to the water, and if anything, if like something spilt or happened, it would like go right to the water.
It may not look like it, but I'm standing in the middle of the city of Duluth as designed by the 5th graders at Lincoln Park School. Now, as they found out, designing a city is no easy task. They also learned some lessons in government politics.
I kind of learned like how you should put it together, and that like the people that build stuff can like kind of do whatever they want if it's better for some people. But it might mean that they have to take out something else.
You wouldn't normally think about that, just think, oh, I like that idea, so I'll build it. But then they made you think, well, if we do all this stuff, it could harm all the people.
They've taken their city for granted and lived in it and played in it, and now they know that how much planning goes into it and what's important to think about.
In the redesigned Kings Corner, Jason Rice, Channel 6 News.
Well, we originally came here after investigating somewhere in the neighborhood of 25 different communities. We liked the labor force that we met. We were very well received by the community, so we've just been real pleased with what we found in this area.
Phil Hutchings arrives for work at the U.S. EPA lab in Duluth. He's been on the job here for only 3 weeks and must leave for at least 10 days. You might not know from his civilian attire, but Phil is a staff sergeant with the Minnesota Army National Guard and will leave Saturday for the flooded East Grand Forks area.
Absolutely. A lot of people are hurting out there, and we do what we can.
Phil is one of 150 men and women who will gather in Duluth Friday evening and head out early Saturday morning. Most will leave on a C-130 transport plane. Others will drive the heavy equipment trucks necessary for the operation. They'll be aiding in levee patrol and security, search and rescue missions, and with sandbagging efforts.
You just watch the news, and the crusting hasn't even started out there in the Red River, so we're looking at a long, hard fight here.
Phil is no stranger to active duty. He served in the Air Force for 12 years and has been with the National Guard since 1988. The Esco resident says his employer has been very supportive of his future absence, but it's hard to leave his 14-year-old son, David.
Oh, my son, he was a little teary today this morning when I dropped him off, but he'll get through it. He gave me a big hug and said, "I'll see you when you get back, Dad."
In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
Had I known you guys were going to be this speedy, nope.
We've heard about, the flooded communities that have been happening in Minnesota, and we kind of felt sorry for them. So as the class of 2000, we decided we want to help them out.
If I lost my home, I would want some help to get it repaired and stuff. And it's just, something nice to do, and with everything bad that's going on, it just seems nice.
Officials from the Salvation Army say they can only guess why the Northland is behind on donations.
The news didn't really hit here for a little while, and I think that's what the problem was. Until the river got to Grand Forks, you know, it didn't really start hitting the news.
But the news affected Diana Ulring's family. She saw the devastating pictures and knew she had to do something.
I had each of my 3 kids pick out something that they would like to donate. We have some books in there and some crayons and some games and some stuffed animals that we thought, well, they could use while they're in the shelters.
I just decided that we have toys that babies can play with, and I picked out one of those.
I walked along the alley here and saw the baby's room was on fire, and they were throwing stuff out of it. And I could look up and see all the way through up to the, the roof. And, I just kind of lost control. I, was crying and emotional. And
Well, we need generator, porta potty, sump pumps. We need tools to get down into the basement to clean out, and it's going to take care of all that.
We were on the other side of Washington where the dike was built. There's no electricity.
Any idea when any of that stuff's going to be back on?
Is it true that they just voted themselves another raise?
Some years you got to have a certain percentage to get a...
Right, and if that number goes by. Or should we try?
We are basically starting a grassroots movement to help people out, and we are fed up with the increases of property taxes and the lack of services that we get for it.
In May of 1991, Cynthia Roram lived in this home in downtown Duluth. She was a third-year medical student at UMD and had 2 children, Taryn and Sadie. When she and her ex-husband were going through their divorce, Cynthia allegedly took the kids and left the area. And that began a 6-year-long search for the children by their father, Alan Roram, who believes Cynthia may have had help from an underground network of women.
This is a woman who had very few resources. This is a very woman who was poor. She was on welfare. She had taken a leave of absence from the School of Medicine. She had no money.
More than 5 years had passed without a trace of Cynthia Roram or her 2 children. In November of 1996, Minnesota authorities requested the help of the FBI. And on Tuesday of this week, Cynthia Roram was arrested. Acting on a federal arrest warrant, special agents picked up Cynthia Roram for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. This based on a St. Louis County warrant following charges of parental kidnapping. The Rorums' 2 children are now ages 11 and 7 and have been returned to their father, Alan, who now lives in Reno, Nevada. Besides the return of his kids, the arrest means Alan Rorum may finally get the answers to questions he's been asking for 6 years.
I'm sick of being lied to, and I'm sick. I just want the truth, you know?
Cynthia Rorum is expected to be extradited to Duluth within the next week to face kidnapping charges. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
Thank you very much, sir. Now that the floodwaters are down, residents of Grand Forks are cleaning up. It's a big chore that just can't wait.
Put it inside, you know, in a place where it won't get wet.
Volunteers with the American Red Cross have been in Grand Forks since the Red River began to swell, and they're still around, going door to door with cleanup kits.
There's a broom and a mop, and this was a bucket and a cleansing wheels and a brush and a sponge.
Thanks a lot.
George Escobedo is a flood victim himself. He lost his '93 pickup to the flood. And while he waits to get his life back on track, Escobedo's decided to lend a hand to others.
We can't go back to where I live at because it's still, they need to clean up over there and things, and they won't let us back until we get our electricity and the water's cleaned out and such.
We have no capacity to grow. We can't bring in more children. And so as our costs continue to go upward, we don't have any way of realistically dealing with those costs through growth.
Yeah, it was a hard decision. In fact, I've kind of kicked it around each day for the last 4 or 5 days we've heard about this. Talked it over with my wife, and we decided that the baby's not due till the end of the month, and we should be all right. Bring us.
Rick Grando will be leaving behind his wife and 2.5-year-old boy to provide assistance to those in the flood-stricken areas.
So I think it's a really good thing that he's going out to help them. And we talked to my doctor before he left, and we're pretty confident that that I'm not going to go into labor or anything before he comes back. So I think it's good.
Armed with a cell phone and the desire to help those in need, the Grandos are confident they're making the right decision.
The good things are just a sense of accomplishment to help out there with a lot of trouble as far as people are having, a tough time getting back on their feet. And then the hard part was just leaving my family, my wife and my little boy, and the new one on the way. Hopefully that'll wait for us. So.
Lorraine Yagoda is retiring after working at the same business for over 2 decades, and she left the workforce in style. Her boss picked her up on the last day in a limousine, treated her to breakfast, and then they were off to work. Lorraine said she felt like a star.
She should feel like a star. She's been a star for us for years.
There was a surprise waiting for her at work. Over 100 of her coworkers were waiting at the front door.
Said, look at all the people. I said, must be a fire drill, huh? I said, they probably have a fire drill today.
But it was no fire drill. Her coworkers, family, and friends were there to thank Lorraine for her hard work and dedication. Lorraine is retiring to spend more time with her husband, Dick, who retired from the police department 4 years ago.
She deserves it. The only thing I'm worried about is she's going to mess up my kitchen now.
Lorraine's daughter made sure this memorable day was preserved on videotape, even though Lorraine joked that she might not leave.
I think I'm going to stay now. They're so good to me, I don't want to retire.
We did this because she's Lorraine, and we love her. We're going to miss her. She's done a great job for us, and it's just our way of saying thank you for all that she's done.
I don't know what to say. With my family here and everything, what a wonderful day.
Well, the good news is that our business is growing, and we need more physical space to build our product line and hopefully do it faster, too. Work on more items at one time on it.
It's really happening, I'll tell you. See the size of the building. Yeah, it's a lot of sand, and that's Wisconsin sand, so that'd be really good stuff. Yes.
Names like Rex from the Fitger Brewery, Royal 58 from Duluth Brewing, and Northern from Northern Brewing in Superior are now just fond memories from the Twin Ports Brewing past. Well, that past pride is returning thanks to the popularity of microbreweries. Duluth and Superior now have several of them, and one, the Twin Ports Brewery in Superior, celebrated its first birthday this weekend.
100 years ago, there were a bunch of breweries in every little town, and since Prohibition, they've just kind of been gobbled up by the big brewers, fallen by the wayside, and there's really a lot of great brewing tradition in America that has been forgotten. So a lot of microbreweries, myself included, are trying to revive the spirit of brewing.
Microbrews are enjoying popularity because they appeal to the beer drinkers who like a bolder flavor than most of the major brewers supply. For Twin Ports Brewing, that flavor begins in a two-room brewery that really fits the term micro.
This is a vessel called the mash tun, and that's where I mix hot water and all the grains, the assorted malted barleys. We pump it over to this vessel here, which is the boiling kettle, where it boils for about an hour and 15 minutes, and I add the hops. And then after it's done boiling, it'll run through the chiller over here, get cooled down from boiling to about 60 degrees, and then it'll get pumped into the next room where the fermenters are, and it'll ferment in those for about 7 to 10 days.
It's a taste that the folks at Twin Ports Brewing hope will sell long after this first birthday.
Oh, I think the future is just huge. Actually, we're started off really, really small, and we've been steadily growing, and I think it'll continue to grow and increase as more people find out about the flavor that beer can actually have.
In Superior, I'm Dave Anderson, Channel 6 News.
Grocery shopping is an individual thing. Everyone does it differently, but we can all save substantially. First off, don't shop hungry. How many times have you shopped up a storm only to find out that you made mostly impulse buys? As millions of people can attest, those coupons really add up. The second tip, don't be afraid to use them. Grocers are happy when customers save money. Nearly 3/4 of all Americans are coupon clippers, and for good reason. big savings.
Oh, it can be very big. It can be 10, 15, 20% of their grocery bill if they use a lot of them.
At 20% with an average monthly grocery bill of $200, you could save $480 a year by pulling out the scissors and doing some clipping. Buying in bulk is okay, but be careful. Too much of a good thing just might wind up in the garbage can. Bulk purchases should be limited to less perishable items. And finally, loss leaders. Loss leaders are items that stores advertise and sell at low prices to draw in business. In some cases, they actually lose money on these items.
When they see those items on the front cover, that's the time to stock up, because that's probably when they're going to be the cheapest.
You could shell out a lot less green by taking advantage of advertised specials such as loss leaders. For example, this 12-pack of pop normally sells for $3.49. Right now, you can get 4 of them for $10. Remember, coupons and specials will make your bargain buys even better.
These preschoolers may not even realize it, but their playground's getting a facelift, thanks to these 3 Central High School students.
Yep, it's really neat because you know you're doing something that will benefit a lot of people. Like these kids will have neater playground equipment and stuff, and it's just good.
The students are taking part in the 4th annual United Way Youth Day of Caring. So at 13 locations across the city, students traded in books for brooms and got to work.
I actually like it because I know you can't get this experience in the classroom. You're actually out in the community helping everybody out there.
I need one more.
Instead of going to their own cafeteria, students at the Union Gospel Mission learned what it takes to serve 150 meals.
How much work actually goes into this kind of stuff? You don't realize how much work people are putting into the preparing all the food and the setup.
And students say when they help out, others help them, learning a valuable lesson about the rewards of volunteering and seeing the benefits of showing a community they care. In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, Channel 6 News.
Thank you, ma'am. Very nice. Thank you.
And it's a memorial for all of the veterans and those that have, there's been so many that have lost their life. And we try to help them and do what we can. And there's always help if the veterans will look for it. And
Bruce Bestie of the Duluth Power Squadrons is sounding the horn to warn others on the importance of safe boating. He remembers a time when he helped rescue a man who had hit a log while boating. As the water rushed into that boat, the man panicked and went into shock. Bestie believes if a simple safety precaution was taken, the accident may not have happened.
Anytime you're out boating, it doesn't hurt to have a lookout. Just tell somebody that you watch the water also, and tell me anything that you think I should know or hear or see, even though that you think I've seen it.
For many anglers, the boating season started with the fishing opener, but for the rest of the recreational boaters, the big kickoff is just around the corner on Memorial Day weekend.
Around here, we have a real short boating period, and when the boats come out of water, you know, people tend to forget things like their sound devices and their, you know, maybe one old life jacket they forgot to replace and stuff like that from winter storage.
That's why the U.S. Coast Guard and the Duluth Power Squadrons remind boaters to always have a life jacket nearby, and there must be one for each person on board. Be aware of your surroundings. Make sure you know where the other recreators are. Remember to check the weather forecast for the day you're going out as well as the next. Have a sound-producing device on board. You'll need to use it when it's foggy out or at night. And tell someone where you're going and how long you plan to be out. This may seem like a lot to remember, but you'll have a safer and smoother ride. In Duluth, Angela Wang, Channel 6 News.
With a large and sometimes unfriendly audience on hand, one might have thought the Duluth Junior Naval ROTC was there to provide security. When the Navy cadets finished their drill, the vocal crowd had their turn to drill the school board. The majority of speakers were displeased with a proposal that would boost study in subjects like math and reading while cutting courses like art, music, and physical education.
that this proposed policy change will penalize the good students. About 60% of the students will have fewer choices, so that 40% can prepare for a test that they don't have to pass for 4 more years.
But, say representatives of the school district, the 40% of 8th graders below par in reading and math need a tougher curriculum to improve in those fields.
We also spent some time identifying that maybe there would be less exploratory time for students who were below grade level in our basic areas, especially reading, and that maybe some of that exploratory time would have to be used if students were considerably below grade level in reading skills.
After several hours of public comment and board debate, the proposal was tabled so a task force can be formed to study the idea in more depth. In Duluth, Dave Anderson, Channel 6 News.
Mattel's Share a Smile Becky is the newest member of the Barbie doll family and the first one that uses a wheelchair. This diverse doll hits Northland shelves this weekend. One 9-year-old will be the first in line. Heather Norris has been in a wheelchair all her life and says there's finally a Barbie doll that represents who she is.
I never thought they'd come out with a Barbie in a wheelchair.
Heather collects all kinds of Barbie dolls, ones with blonde hair, ones with brown hair, ones with blue eyes.
I've got a talking Barbie that talks.
Why don't you get ice cream with Ken after school?
Well, we knew how much Heather wanted a Share a Smile Becky doll, so we pulled some strings so Heather could get a doll before it hits the shelves. So you don't have to wait till Saturday.
No, I don't. Oh, wow. I can't
You want to open this up?
So I'm really excited about this.
Heather's mom thinks this will be a teaching tool for everyone.
Yeah, it is about time. It's, I think, very good for their self-image on who they are. No, it's going to probably go everywhere we go. Right?
Right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. Oh, well, I can't believe I'm the first one. I thought I'd have to wait till Christmas or something.
In Holyoke, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
Were you impressed?
Yeah. I don't know how they build these things, but it's great.
If you have class, you've got it made. If you don't have class, no matter what else you have, it won't make up for it.
Teaching 5th graders about class and self-respect is just one part of the DARE program. DARE's main goal is to teach kids when they're young to stay away from drugs and violence.
The DARE program stands for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. It's a 17-week program taught by a uniformed police officer in the classroom. Primarily, the DARE program gives students the strength, courage, confidence, and ability they will need to say no to drug offers and to violence.
Last night at the deck, DARE's 3 instructors, John Byer, Rick Koneski, and Bob Olson, gathered together to honor their students for completing the program. They were joined by Police Chief Lyons, Mayor Doty, the school district's George Holliday, and 600 graduating students.
Thanks to the DARE program, I now know that with
things around you become difficult or depressing, or when your life is very stressing, you have other things to turn to besides drugs and violence.
The 3 police instructors acknowledge that DARE alone won't end the drug problem, but they believe the program is a valuable part of that fight.
DARE is only 1/3 of the solution. With the police department, the schools, and most importantly, our kids' parents, giving our children the same information, the same message, that drugs and violence will lead them nowhere, we can win the war against drugs.
In Duluth, Dave Anderson, Channel 6 News.
We get approximately $4.2 million from the state for transportation services for kids. Those funds are now part of the general fund, and any savings that we can utilize from our costs, we can use that for other purposes for the kids' educational programs.
Because he's the one who, he took everything in his own actions, and he's the one who kind of protected us by telling us, you know, he's the one who stayed calm through the whole thing more than us kids did. And he's the one who didn't like freak out and lose everything of like how you're supposed to do things when an accident comes. He still knew what to do.
Factor neutral, yeah. It's something that people need to be aware of. Their factor neutral gives.
We've gotten extremely active and aggressive in our pursuit of this crime. And again, it's the largest crime, statistically, value-wise, in the state of Minnesota or any place else in the United States. It's the largest crime as far as when it comes to dollar impact.
Apparently the truck overturned onto its side on the curve going northbound just south of North Avenue, and it rode on the side of the semi along the median wall. As it was going along the median wall on its side, the semi hit the supports for the overhead sign bridge.
Phoenix. Like in Needles, which is in California, it's in the desert, it's already 91 degrees, and it's 9 o'clock in the morning there. Okay, let's go down this way.
we'll find Jordan.
Sports.
I saw lots of weather stuff and computers and TVs and little gadgets.
This tells the format it's going to be this is called a bullseye. County and she's going to take some pictures. And this is the location.
Slow motion fall down. Yes, you may please interrupt. And that counts.
Oh, definitely. You have restaurants where benefit definitely you would.
Is this the kind of thing you need? And there's a well, it's a typical thing that happens. It's you know, it's off the TV, it's off the radio, it's out of the newspapers now, so it's out of people's minds. But those families are still over there living in shelters and living with friends, and a lot of the people are living in Minot, several hundred miles away.
Stands of the purple loosestrife flower used to be considered beautiful. Now they are considered a threat. The plant brought here from Europe over 100 years ago is now the dominant wildflower in North America, replacing many native species.
It forms dense stands, which limits wildlife habitat and also displaces native plants and limits the amount of shelter and food that's available to wildlife.
In the past, Department of Natural Resources workers physically pulled out the purple loosestrife and used chemical herbicides to help control it. One new tactic being used is European leaf-eating beetles. In this wetlands area of the St. Louis River, the European leaf-eating beetles have been released twice in the past to help reduce the spread of purple loosestrife.
And what that beetle does is basically eat the leaf. It can reduce the amount of material in each purple loosestrife plant, reduce the amount of seeds that are produced, and under extreme conditions can kill the plant.
Since 1992, Minnesota has been raising and releasing beetles. This year, with additional help from individual counties throughout the state, close to 1 million leaf-eating beetles should be released.
It's estimated that in, say, 10 to 15 years that purple loosestrife could be reduced by 80% across the nation.
The beetles will not harm any other type of vegetation. They will only eat purple loosestrife. In Duluth, Kristen Kunze, Channel 6 News.
I make quilts, and it's just a real uplifting experience to come and look at all the other quilts and get ideas from other people. It's very enjoyable.
I'm here for two major reasons. One is I'm exhibiting 2 quilts, and the other is I enjoy seeing the work of quilters from all over the country. There are some magnificent quilters here.
Okay, and how long does this exhibit or this show go for?
It's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and it concludes about 6 o'clock on Saturday.
Okay.
Caleb and his mom, Sherry, have been training for the last year and a half for grandmas. They have run shorter distances in the past, but this year decided to go for the big one.
Probably last year I wanted to run it, but I wasn't ready, so I decided to run it this year. It's my mom.
And he was more interested in it than I was, so I wanted to give him support and show him that, okay, Mom will do it too, you know, and Mom will try anything, it's, you know, and if I don't make it, I don't make it, and if I do, I do. But
after realizing the feat they wanted to accomplish, Caleb and his mom started running and running.
Well, I just go out and run with my mom and see how many miles it is, and if it feels good, we'll just keep going, but if we get tired, we'll just turn around and go back.
Caleb has a pretty extensive running background for only being 13. He has won many medals and awards in the past and hopes to add one this year from grandmas.
No, I probably won't have any troubles finishing it. I'll probably be real tired, but oh well, it's well worth it.
And what about Caleb's mom? Well, she just wants to make it across the finish line.
probably about 10 miles into it, I'm going to be asking myself, why am I doing this? But when it's over, I'm going to be glad it's not only over, but that I did it.
After the marathon, Caleb and his family plan to go down to Lake Superior so him and his mom can soak their legs. In Two Harbors, Kristen Kunze, Channel 6 News.
That one's right dead center, right up.
Duluth Mayor Gary Doty was a cop for a day. He didn't wear a uniform or a badge, and he didn't carry a gun, but he got to fire a few rounds.
You press it with your thumb. That's probably the best. There you go. All there is to it. Take your time now. Aim about where the belly button would be. That gun seems to shoot a little high for me. And then just concentrate on that front sight and be smooth with the trigger. Let it surprise you when it goes off a little bit, and you'll do a good hit.
Did I miss?
Basically, I just wanted to give him an idea of some of the weapons that the Duluth Police Department has and uses, and when we use them and who uses them. And don't jerk the trigger, just right straight, smooth back to the rear. There you go.
But that's not all the mayor did. He learned a little about the tactical response team.
Fire in the hole!
Police! Get out!
This training is all part of the mayor's visits he's making to departments throughout the city. He hopes to learn more about Duluth.
So I want to see just a little snippets of each piece of the police work, and I'm finding out it's very very technical. And
he had a quick tour of the police station and then rode along with officers as they patrolled the streets. But it seemed the firing range was the mayor's favorite.
well, I mean, I listened to my coach over here, and I hit the target on all of them, and he says I'm teachable.
City officials should be scared.
Well, no, because this is the first time I've really shot a gun.
Whoa!
Did you get that on camera?
In Duluth, Kim Steininger, Channel 6 News.
In fact, right now, rooms are booked pretty much through Blues Fest weekend in Duluth. And while hotels will be full for this weekend, what about other times of the year? Managers of some hotels say it takes them 2 years to match the money they collect in one summer season. So bringing in business year-round is ideal for the hotel industry. Now the Duluth Entertainment Convention Center is hoping to go through with a $25 million expansion, which would mean much more business for area hotels all 4 seasons. Right now, more than 90,000 people visit Duluth each year as part of conventions, and those visitors stay on average 2.5 days and add more than $40 million to the local economy.
Athletes, spectators, and just plain old fans of the game of basketball are filing into Clemens Fieldhouse on the campus of St. Benedict's College. Little do they know there's more than just 3 days of hoops going on here. In the midst of all this talent, there's a teenager from Winona about to make history by the end of the summer. But he doesn't know that we know about his big step, so we talk basketball, and then we force him to come clean.
Just in it for the fun. In it to win as well, but most of all, it's just for fun.
Now, they tell me that you're the celebrity of the team. Why is that?
I suppose because back where we're from, we live next to a smaller town called Goodview, and they have a pageant there, a scholarship pageant, and for the 5 years that it's been running, they haven't had any guy running it yet. And I started running. I did it this year. I'm doing it this year, so. Really? I just made the headlines this morning, so I'm not supposed to talk about it. So.
Burbach believes if women can post up in basketball, he can certainly compete in a traditionally female-dominated arena, a pageant.
The headline said first time for everything. Burbach's running for Mr. Goodview.
Really?
Yeah.
Does that kind of...
What are hundreds of Superior children doing in school in the middle of the summer? They're not being punished, they're taking classes, and they're happy about it.
It's fun because if I didn't come here, I'd have to sit at home on the couch because my mom has to go to work every day almost.
Teachers say the program is usually a hit because it's so much different than the regular school year.
It's a chance for them to really enjoy school,
teachers are a little more relaxed, and they get outside and do some things outside. We're going to be collecting bugs and doing a lot of stuff with critters and stuff like that. So it'll be fun. I think they'll like it.
As Zakowski points out, youngsters aren't the only ones who enjoy the summer session.
It's a chance for me to work with some other kids, some younger kids, whereas normally I just work with 5th through 8th grade kids, and I'm going to have some first, 2nd, and 3rd graders now in this next session, so that should be fun.
And I especially like this class that I teach, Creative Crafts. It gives me an opportunity to be creative because I don't have a chance during the school year, so this brings out my creativity.
The major thing kids notice, teachers are in a cheerier mood.
They're a lot nicer. Most of the teachers are mean during this regular school year.
We're real pleased with the turnout. We had steady business all day on Saturday. The weather didn't hurt our business at all. Today we've had as well steady business all day, a lot of food, and a lot of people coming down to enjoy it.
On Friday, May 16th, a tourist parked her car in a downtown parking ramp and locked it up. She left items in the back seat, but felt they were safe because it was a busy parking lot. She retired to her hotel. Later, when traffic subsided, someone used an unlocking device and opened the car doors. They stole a set of golf clubs, a tennis racket, a cellular phone, almost 50 CDs, and the owner's checkbook. The theft ruined the woman's vacation and cost her over $1,500. And that didn't include the cost from the potential forgeries from her checkbook. It's too late to warn that visitor, but it can serve to remind all of us to lock our valuables in the trunk when we travel or bring everything into our motel room. Call Crime Stoppers if you know who's responsible for this or any car prowls. We'll pay as much as $1,000 and keep the caller's name anonymous. Our numbers are 1-800-974-TIPS or 723-ENOUGH. That's 723-3683.
So I also have a camera.
The L.L. Smith is a research boat here in Duluth Superior Harbor, and there's a team from the University of Wisconsin Superior that's going to be on the boat to train you in on using the equipment and learning a little bit more about the water quality here at Western Lake Superior.
of these things because I worked for the sexual assault program for a while.
The pictures will change on a regular basis, and what people want to see is local kids' pictures here. They want to see Jacob, they want to see Minnesota children, but what we also know is that they travel. Missing children are usually found outside of the state that they're taken from. So down the road we'll be seeing California and New York and all the other states. So they'll be rotated, and Jacob's picture will also be rotated around the country.
As the helicopter prepared to land on Highway 194, rescue workers arrived to a nightmare. At least one person dead, multiple injuries, some of them life-threatening, and young children sitting in the ditch on the side of the road, witnessing the entire tragedy, watching as emergency personnel try to rescue their parents.
I was sleeping, and then all of a sudden I heard, call 911, there's kids in there, and I said it twice, and then I popped out of bed and I saw them running this way, so I ran to my grandma's room and looked, and I woke up my grandma and came down here, and they're just, you know.
Amber's grandmother saw bodies inside and outside of the two cars and called 911.
They asked me to go down and see how many people, if there was anybody dead or how many people were in the cars or anything. So then I came down and looked and called them back.
Emergency personnel from the State Patrol, St. Louis County, Grand Lake Township, and Solway Township, along with Gold Cross paramedics and air rescue crews, worked to free the trapped victims with the jaws of life. As the youngest victims of the accident were whisked away by officers, the last of the helicopters lifted up in the air, heading to St. Mary's Hospital.
Severe weather has always had a special place in the hearts and minds of Midwesterners. The sheer power and destructive force of severe weather conjure up images of devastation and fear. But what about here in the Northland? Do people really worry that much about wind, hail, and tornadoes?
No, I don't.
How come?
I'm not out and about that much.
No, not really.
How come?
Well, there's relatively rare here.
I would say probably less frequent than a lot of areas where you have to worry more about tornadoes, things like that.
Well, since most of the people we talked to really weren't that concerned about severe weather in the Northland, it's probably not much of a problem, right?
It's a bigger threat than maybe a lot of people believe. In fact, taking a look at the statistics, St. Louis County ranks #1 in the state in tornado occurrences.
#1 in tornadoes? That may sound surprising, but remember, St. Louis County is a fairly big target compared to other Minnesota counties. From 1950 to 1995, St. Louis County has been hit by 29 tornadoes. Now that may sound like a lot, but 3 other Minnesota counties, Stearns, Freeborn, and Olmsted, come in second with 27 tornado hits. And notice, these counties are much smaller than those bordering Lake Superior. So is it the big lake that keeps most storms to the south?
The lake can enhance thunderstorm development, and also it can dampen thunderstorm development. So it can go either way depending on the situation, the wind flow and things like that, the atmospheric conditions.
The fact is, severe weather does happen in the Northland. In August of 1994, travelers on Highway 61 along the North Shore were victims of damaging hail. 1 year later, in July of '95, residents near Moose Lake were hit by a damaging storm. And just last August, residents in Barnes, Wisconsin also suffered damage due to a powerful severe storm. This all proves that even in this northern climate, severe weather can, and does, quickly become a reality.